Hello. Some people sell coins or, use books. Tonight, our guest sells things that may rearrange the furniture in your house before it's over with. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my co host, Tom Franklin, and my guest, Brandon, to the stage.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciate you being here. Tell my guys a little bit about you because there's a lot going on there.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Brandon Kramer. I'm mostly known on TikTok for Real Ghost Hunter 1. I don't know if you can see it on the screen or not, but I've been in the paranormal field for going on 20 years now. I had experiences since I was 7 years old, which, long story short, brought me to where I am today. I've been I got blessed on TikTok where I got quote unquote semi-famous early and got to meet a bunch of other people in the paranormal field that I thought I'd never meet. And it was a great experience. I got to know a few of them, and I'm still friends with them today. I also collect haunted items. I buy and sell some that, the ones that aren't quite the ones that I want to keep forever, so I let them go. And there's so much that we could do. I sell crystals on the side. I'm big into that. Um, I like to do private investigations, which
Very
is my
cool.
favorite. What's that?
I said it's very cool, man. I think that is something that I would eventually get interested in when time allowing, of course. But yeah, I think paranormal investigation it is cool.
Very. So I want to back up for a second. So I kind of, the way I've set this up tonight, I kind of wanted to camp on the haunted object thing and the object you actually sell. And we will definitely go into that and investigate a little bit. But so I want to briefly, though, talk a little bit about your experience with the paranormal in general. First of all, what really brought you to this point? Because you're in so many directions here with the crystals and the selling of objects and so forth. What landed you where you are with this?
Changes of pace, really. You do one thing for so long. And I always dabbled in the crystal. I've done paranormal forever, dabbled in the crystals. One day I was just, showing off my collection of creepy stuff, and people started asking me, when you pan over a cabinet full of goodies, everybody asks, "Hey, what's that?" Next thing you know, people are trying to buy them from me and this and that. I'm saying no. And then they're like, "Oh, you should do that." And that led to the crystal thing. And that was periodical. Now it's every week. Now every Wednesday night on Real Ghost Hunter 1.1 or 1.0, 1.0. Every Wednesday night I sell crystals. It's a good time. People have a lot of fun. We play games. It's a good time. That's what got me into that. As far as the paranormal thing, I don't know how far back you want to go with that, but that started when I was 7 years old, hearing voices in grandma's basement, So, we can dive more into that if you want, but that's pretty much what got me to where I am today, with telling real stories, things that happened to me, things that happened to people I know. They took off on TikTok, and we got lots and lots of feedback from that. That seems really popular. And then the whole investigating live also brought me to where I am now.
Very cool.
Yeah, because you have a lot of just amazing stuff going on there, and I feel like, honestly, if somebody showed me, a room full of creepy objects and so forth, like my first impression would be, gotta have this, gotta do this. This is my thing to do. Fortunately, at this point, I have not had that happen because I already have a room full of crystals and books. That's
right. Would you like me to tell you some of the things that I do have?
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
I guess the star of the show would be my Oddfellows ritual skeleton. It's a full skeleton. Yeah, it's real. It was actually acquired through the Oddfellows. I don't know what you call it, building that they used to run out of in Menasha, Wisconsin, approximately 50 years ago, and it spent. There were two skeletons found in caskets that they used to use as to show your mortality during their rituals. And long story short, there were two of them. Somebody came in, bought the caskets, didn't want the skeletons. The guy sold one, kept the other one, but he didn't have a place for the other one, so he tied it to a wicker chair and put it in the back of his garage for 35 years.
Jeez.
So that's where it sat. Full skeleton. Like, to me, that's total disrespect, and I hated that. I immediately drove an hour to go and check this thing out. He called and told me about it. Went and checked it out, bought it on site, paid a fortune for it, brought it home. On the way home, hit a deer on the highway.
Jeez.
With it in the trunk of my car. So whether that's a good omen or not, probably not. Hopefully it had nothing to do with it.
It's either,
But now I have it. I
look
have
at
it
it.
displayed.
Yeah, you can look at it as like either free food or your car is now destroyed. It's
Right.
the yin and the yang, bro.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was a lot
Yeah,
of
dude.
damage. So
That's
I've got
awful.
that. I've got an 1800s body board, wooden body board that, before they had funeral homes, they used to show bodies in their own houses.
Right.
So people could
right.
come and say their final goodbyes and that. I have one of those boards here. I'm looking at it right now. I've got dolls. I've got a few haunted dolls, and I feel comfortable actually saying that these are haunted because of continuous reactions, similar reactions, same voices coming through from them, confirmation from them, etc., etc.
Right.
I don't like saying, like, if I sell something, I don't like saying, well, this item is haunted, watch out when you get it. What I prefer to say is it may or may not be haunted. It is very active here. But just because I sell you the vessel doesn't mean that the spirit is going to come along with it.
Yeah.
So that being said, you get what you get. You don't throw a fit. Don't complain to me if you get too much activity in your house. Don't complain to me if your doors slam in the middle of the night. That's on you. You knew going in what you were looking at.
Yeah, buyer beware, right? Buyer beware.
Exactly.
Exactly. And that's so cool that you put that right out in front, that everyone knows in advance, that way there's no surprises and you don't get any type of legal issues or something. You don't want that either.
Right. And sometimes if you get something and you expect it to be haunted and you get nothing, then you're disappointed. So that way I tell them up front, you may or may not get any activity from this item, but I have had this happen, and this happen. And then, take that for what you will.
Right. Yeah, because the thing that we tend to come across, I think, from a perspective of being the owner, shop owner, is you don't want to make claims, first of all, that could possibly backfire on you. And the other thing is you in putting expectations out there. I think that's one of those things, but at the same time, I think the things that you have not only in your collection sounds fantastic. Although I gotta tell you, like, the body board is kind of a new thing for me, because all the in-home visitations I ever went to, they actually had them in the box. So that was interesting. But one of my viewers is asking you to tell us about getting touched down the head. And I've heard this story before, but I really want to hear you tell this again.
I for some reason I can't see the comments, but I think I know who might have typed that in. It's obviously somebody that follows me for sure.
Well, welcome to
So
the show.
anyways,
Either way,
here's the
welcome to the
story.
show.
I got a call from somebody on Facebook Marketplace. I got reached out. I don't know if they followed me on TikTok, whatever. They knew about me. They found out word of mouth, whatever. They got a hold of me, said, "Hey, I need you to come, and if you're interested, I want to sell you these dolls that I have. They inherited from grandmother or whatever." And I'm like, "All right, I'll come check them out." So I get there and I get them. Long story short, she comes out, throws them at me, starts walking away without the money. I'm like, "Hey, here's all your money. It's quite a substantial amount." And I'm like, "Here." And she's like, "Okay, bye." And just took off. She didn't want nothing to do with them or me. So I'm on my way home. And all of a sudden I feel this. I'm going down. I'm on Highway 41, Appleton, Wisconsin, right? I'm driving down. All of a sudden I get this head or a hand on my head like this.
Wow.
I'm like, and I'm driving 70 miles an hour. I'm like, what the hell? I look back and all I see is this box of dolls. I'm like, what the hell? And it's not like it was just a touch. Like you could feel individual hands and a thumb, as it caressed the top of my head. It was kind of oddly creepy, But yeah, and so I told everybody, I got these dolls. I don't know which one did it. I don't know. One of these has something attached to it. I'm not saying there's a demon in it, like a lot of people would say automatically, but something is attached to at least one of these dolls. So I did sell a little over half of them already, and I still got some left, and there's still a lot of activity in my house. So what it's coming from, I can't really say because I've got so much creepy stuff, but that's the story.
I mean, that's the
Wow.
obvious question, right? I mean, is there ever an item that because we know that there's attachments that come along with these items. Is there ever like a moment where you're just like, what am I doing? I'm just trying to make a cup of tea here, and now the doors over there slamming. Does that lend itself to like relationships? I mean, what kind of problems does that like offer you?
Well,
I don't mean it that way, Magic. I'm just a real question. It's a real question.
well, I don't know. I don't know what you mean exactly by relationships, but if you're talking about like the most recent thing was in the middle of the night, I'll hear my bathroom door slam.
Wow.
And then about a week and a half ago, I got up in the middle of the night because I heard it slam, and I went to go open the door because I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night anyway. So I went and I went in, and what was weird is I opened the door and the light was on. I did what I had to do, left the bathroom, went to my daughter's room, pounded on her door, opened it up. She was sound asleep. I woke her up and said, "Hey, did you just get up?" She's like, "No, leave me alone." She's like, she's 19. She don't want to, she's like, "Get out of here. I'm sleeping." So she said no. And then I was like, okay, so that was something because, the dog ain't going to turn on the light. You know what I mean? So that was one thing. And then about 4 months ago, I was laying in bed and something grabbed my thigh, inside of my thigh, and pulled my leg off the bed.
Mm-mm.
Not exactly sure what to think about that, but that happened. I mean, I don't want to bore you, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in my house.
Wow. Do you feel
Nothing scary, nothing like, oh my God, I need to have it cleansed or anything like that. I find it entertaining. I find it entertaining. I find it interesting. And I'm so curious about the afterlife and about what they can do and what they can't do and their limitations. So whatever they do, I take that as evidence, and it's very interesting to me.
Oh, okay. So it's not that big of a deal for you then. Okay, man, that's cool. That's cool. I thought like, I'm a scaredy cat. So like you were like, "Hey Tom, you want to buy this, dice that was thrown by like some mobster in the 40s?" I'd be like, "Nah, I'm cool, man. I'll go get a new set at Walmart."
You talk about scary, and everybody assumes that ghosts are scary, but to be perfectly honest, in the mass, how do I put it? The mass majority of all my experiences have either been out of them being curious or them trying to be funny.
Okay.
That's usually the activity that I've gotten throughout the last 20 years. And for instance, like my most haunted doll, he's more famous than I am. His name is Adam. Maybe I can show him to you here in a little bit. But he doesn't look scary at all. But he is the most active spiritual vessel that I've ever seen. Like he actually lunged forward at me during a live broadcast on TikTok about 3 years ago.
Wow.
Oh yeah. You've heard of Sam and Colby, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I posted a video and it got a couple million views, which is awesome. Of course, I'm not trying to downplay that, but Sam and Colby got a hold of it, aired it on their broadcast on their YouTube channel, and it was Adam cussing to that what's that creepy tiptoe song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Oh, the Tiny Tim song. Okay.
Yeah, he was saying F this and F that. And they were saying like, oh, we'd never heard him ghost cuss before. And I'm like, what the hell? You never heard a ghost cuss before? What do you knew? Like, come on.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's fun. It's interesting. I do see a comment now.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I've never dealt with aliens or UFOs. Wish I have. Very interested in it.
Yeah. I will post like some of the comments up on the screen from time to time as we go through.
Okay.
So when you, I guess one of the things that like makes me wonder too is, are you careful about where you position some of your objects as compared to your crystals, for instance? Because obviously quartz crystals are not necessarily really good to connect with some things.
Yeah, the crystal part of it, I keep most of the protection stuff. Most of it is in one area. Like I have all my black obsidian is over here. And most of my quote unquote haunted or creepy stuff is over there. Not that it really matters. It's all in the same room. Obviously it's affected. The spirits are less active in this room, obviously, because of all the energy from the crystals. But no, as far as, and what I have to be more careful of is Adam doesn't like certain other dolls that I have. Adam doesn't like Peter. He pushed Peter over in a live broadcast.
Oh, geez.
What?
Yeah, he
It's an
admitted to
attitude
it.
adjustment.
Yeah, I left. I was up in my attic. I went downstairs to, who knows, go to the bathroom, get a drink, whatever. Came back like 3 minutes later ish, and the chat was telling me, hey, doll fell over or whatever. It looked like it was pushed, and I'm like, okay. Well, so we turned on the spirit box and my portal, and I was asking Adam, I'm like, what did you do? Did you push him over? And we got all sorts of, yeah, of course I did, and like hate that guy and stuff like that. And I'm just like, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, so I have to be careful what I put around Adam. Adam has his own little area up on the top of the cabinet. He's got his own little throne chair. He's all set. He gets to walk or watch over everybody. He's not enclosed. He's out in the open. Got to be nice to Adam.
Ooh.
Yeah, Adam sounds like he kind of rules the roost there in a lot
A
of
little
ways.
bit. A little bit. Yeah, we have an understanding. Well, he actually came from Germany through Canada before he came to me.
Okay. Now
And
you're
there's
talking
a whole story that goes along with every step of that before he got
Yeah,
to me.
I lived in Germany for 20 years, man. So that's interesting. That's so
Yeah.
interesting. What part of Germany did you come from?
That's above my pay grade. I don't know
Oh,
exactly
okay.
where.
All right, you couldn't follow back that far. Okay.
All I know is he was in Germany and he was shipped to this house in Canada, which I used to be really good friends with this family on that was also on TikTok. And they found Adam in a shoebox on their porch with a note that said, "Hello, this is Adam. He is your problem now."
Oh, jeez.
And that was it. They had nothing else to go off of. They finally tracked down who he was or who they were, and apparently they had some nasty stuff going on at their house, and they blamed the doll. So they sent it to them because they were quote unquote paranormal investigators. So they figured that they would be able to handle it. Well, they were doing live broadcasts on TikTok, and I happened to be in the chat in the forum, and they knew me, and they would always say hi or whatever. And all of a sudden, Adam would say my name, like first and last name. And then it got to the point where they were asking, because they didn't really want him around anymore because he was saying some really bad stuff, apparently. And I can't really repeat it I'm not exactly sure where we're all on, but it's not family friendly, type of stuff. So they asked him if first they asked me, they're like, "Do you want Adam?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'll take him." And then they confirmed it with Adam. They're like, "Do you want to go to Brandon's house?" And then he kept saying, then that's when he said my first and last name.
Oof.
Yeah, I was like, I get the whole Brandon, but they did, because with that type of thing, they can repeat what you say if there's a microphone. So that was like, okay, but nobody said my last name until it came through the box. I'm like, okay, there's something there. That was my first inclination that Adam had. He was something. So that made me want him even more. So, and I can go on and talk about Adam all night, but we'll save that for another time.
Right, because it sounds like there's a whole episode and we could go with Adam, because Adam, of course, seems very similar in some ways to another doll that has been talked about on the show before. Question from the audience. Once you get one of these haunted items, how do you store? I think we kind of touched on this a little bit.
Okay.
Store them so not to be haunted yourself.
And this comes from the great Al Santoriga at Bronxville Paranormal.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay.
Hey, Al. How's it going?
Right. Depending on the items that are coming in, usually the things that I get have some sort of a backstory. If their backstory is, hey, he says creepy stuff, I don't want him anymore. That type of stuff doesn't scare me a whole lot. I don't really do a whole lot of protection per se on that item. Most of the stuff that I get is usually in some sort of a container that has either some sort of sigil on it that keeps it in there, or you've heard of protection sigils before, I'm assuming. They usually have something like that. If not, in the past, I have taken things to a priest that I go to that deals with this type of stuff, and he'll do a blessing over it and like do a cleansing basically of it to make sure that it's safe to bring in the house. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I don't do anything. I just bring it in and to see what happens because I'm curious. If it gets too bad, I know what to do. That's kind of that's what I do. I go to people's houses and I help them figure out what's there, why they're there, and if they are safe to stay there, if the people are safe to stay there. So that's what I do. So if something happens here, I know how to handle it.
This might come off as a bit odd, but you seem like a football guy. You seem like a motorcycle guy. You have this vibe with you. You got your little chain going on. Like when you talk to, say, quote unquote normal people like, myself and others, and you explain to them what it is that you do, how do you try to, either put that in there in a nice way so you can land that information, or make them see things the way you do? How is that difficult for you?
Well, when like most people that don't know me and I just meet them on the street or talk to them in general, the paranormal part of me never comes out. Like I don't talk about it. It's kind of like an OnlyFans model. They talk nice to you, but they don't tell you they're an OnlyFans model. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
my God.
I keep that to myself unless they ask. If they ask, then because people get scared, they're intimidated by ghosts and paranormal. And on the flip side of the coin, I don't want to I don't want that to be my opening line is, hey, by the way, do you believe in ghosts? Because I look at, I do this and that. Then they're going to get intimidated and be like, well, what if they don't believe in that? Then they're going to get all snobby, and then they're gonna look at me like, you're a crazy person. Get away from me. So you got to kind of watch how you talk to people about it. But when I get in with people that have the same interests,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. We talk for days.
that's the best part.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, all that
but I
goes
do
out.
have a Harley. Just saying.
Dude. I knew it, dude.
Called it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that like secrecy goes out the window when you have a podcast because you want to tell everybody about it. And then
Oh,
of course
yeah.
they're like, the first thing they go is, "Oh, what is your podcast about?" And I'm like, creepy shit.
Yeah. Do you mind if I mention mine real quick?
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Myself and Ray from Nebraska Paranormal, we have our own paranormal podcast. It's called Paranormal Watchtower. Also on YouTube, and any streaming, iHeartRadio, wherever you find podcasts. So we're on that. We've got quite a few episodes up there. And it's pretty good. Watch the later ones. The earlier ones kind of, we're just warming up, trying to figure out how to do it. The later ones are much better. So
That's like anything in life, man. You got to get your feet wet, and then you realize that, like, you see things from the outside. It's kind of like, oh, I can do that. And then when you get in it, you see there's a hill to climb. But that's the fun part of it too, So enjoy the process, bro. We are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And just a reminder to you guys, all of Brandon's links are down in the description below. So, and that includes the YouTube. So do go on there. Don't forget to subscribe and like his channel.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And definitely check him out on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
There's some crazy stuff on there sometimes and some really good stuff on there. So
Real Ghost Hunter 1 on TikTok, guys.
Yes.
Right. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's nice.
So when we dive into these things, there's always that one person who's like watching for the first time that's like, this sounds like a really neat hobby. How do I get started? So
got a little sassy there, brother.
how do you approach these people? Because that's like,
to be honest, that's one of the most popular questions I get. Like when I'm live, if I'm doing like a live paranormal talk, which we happen to do every Tuesday night, which is a whole nother thing. But what I usually tell people if they're trying to get into paranormal field is basically do what's best for you. Be very careful. Don't go to the most haunted place you've heard of as your first gig. You got to crawl before you walk. I always suggest you go to a cemetery with nothing more than a voice recorder is really all you need. You don't need a whole lot. You don't. You okay?
Makes me afraid just thinking of it, dude. I'm gonna walk through the cemetery. It's like anybody here, and then hear it on my phone.
I mean,
voices are scary. I'd rather see it. If it's like I'm good.
A lot of people are afraid of cemeteries, but here's an interesting thought that you might not have thought of. I don't necessarily believe that cemeteries are haunted. Now, that being said, the spirits are there when you're there. But it's my belief that they're only there because you're there. They're only there to talk to you or to tell their story. I don't believe they hang out in a cemetery because when I go, I'll be damned if I'm going to hang out in a lonely ass cemetery. Why would I do that? There's way more fun places to be. Unless you're so attached to yourself, like if you're so vain that you can't leave your remains, maybe, I don't know.
That was poetry, brother. If you're so vain you can't leave your remains, loved it.
Right? There you have it.
That was great.
Poet and don't know it.
Yeah, dude. There we go. Now we're talking, man. That is so cool. I never thought about that. I mean, what gives you that impression that they don't hang out there?
Well, mainly because I think of ghosts like most of us that have been in the paranormal field for a while, and we've gotten all this evidence and we've combined it all, and we have combined thoughts and whatever.
Uh-huh.
The they were people, okay? They were
Mhm.
people for the most part. You know, I'm not talking demons. I'm not talking, fairies, whatever. I'm talking human spirits. They were human. You know, we carry our personalities over to the other side.
Oh yeah.
So if you're you're going to be a nice ghost. You're going to be, if you were funny, you're going to be funny. If you were an a-hole, you're going to be an a-hole ghost, which often gets confused with demons. Just saying.
Okay. All right,
You know
man.
what
I
I'm,
like that. Yeah.
just because, weird, nasty stuff happens in your house and they throw the D word around like it's their last name, keep in mind it could just be a jerk that is now a ghost.
True
Absolutely.
story.
Yeah.
True story. So Al is asking, have you ever had an attachment? And if so, how did you get it off?
I love this question. The problem with the answering this question is it's not a short answer. I've addressed this live on TikTok several times. Now, first let me explain what an attachment is. Most people, when you hear the word attachment, they say it's a demon attached to you. That's not it. There's like 3 or 4 stages to possession, and
Mhm.
that's not what I'm talking about. Everyone listening to the sound of my voice right now, and I say this with full belief, everyone that can hear my voice right now has either had or currently has an attachment.
Oh my God, dude.
And I say that because most attachments are just out of curiosity.
Mhm.
What people don't realize is you don't have to go to a cemetery, to a scary house, to an abandoned building to get an attachment. If you think of all the people that lived on this earth and that have passed on and have had one reason or another why they haven't crossed over and they're still here, there's billions. You know what I mean? Millions or billions. So you can pick up a an attachment by going to Walmart, by going to the gas station.
Yeah, that's
You
exactly what I
know,
was gonna
Great
say.
answer.
they see you. Now picture them in the spirit form, in the spirit world, whatever. If they can see you through the veil and they say, "Hey, that guy looks like me when I was alive. He has the same kind of car I had when I was a kid. I'm going to follow him." No, there's no harm with that. They're not going to hurt you. You probably won't even know they're there. They're going to hang out with you until they lose interest and they're going to fade out. You've got nothing to worry about. Attachments are not as scary as what TV and movies tell you. Now, to answer the first part of that question, have I ever had an attachment? Of course. Of course. Probably have several currently. Okay. But that's mainly because I've jumped into the paranormal with both feet and I've been there for a long time. You can't go to these places and do the things that I've done and not have attachments. That's just part of the game. You know, Learning to deal with it is a whole nother ball game. Now, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking. Feel free to stop me at any moment.
Oh, you're doing great,
But
man. No worries.
but if it's evil, and I've had 2 occasions in over. Now, keep in mind, I'm heavy into the paranormal. Okay, heavy into it, and I've only had 2 occasions, 2 run-ins with the D word. I don't even like saying the full name. One was really bad. One was really bad, and I don't even like talking about it in fear of bringing it back. Okay,
Wow.
so
Damn, dude.
so so I will tell you that one of them had me holding a chef's knife to my chest,
Oh my God, dude.
Oh
and I've never
yeah.
been more scared in my life because fully awake, fully aware of what's going on, but it started to push in, and I still have a mark today well, I don't know if it's actually a mark, but when I run my hand over my chest, I can feel where it was. Like trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But and that's one of the things that you never forget. And what's really bad. Well, I should say what's really good. The only good thing that came from that particular situation was now when I talk to people, it's actually, as weird as this sounds, okay? I know how this sounds. When I talk to people who say they have demonic activity in their home, it helps me to know if they're telling the truth or not. Because I went through it, I know what it's really like. So if they're lying to me, I'm going to know right away. If they say, do I have a demon in my house? If you have to ask me that, trust me, you don't. You don't have one. Okay? Because if you do, 90% of the time, you're going to know. Okay? Because it's going to come to the point where they're not going to hide anymore. And they're going to scare the ever-living bejesus out of you. Not only at night, but during the day as well. So if you have to ask, you don't have one.
And I get like flashbacks just riding on planes, and how much I don't like flying. I can't imagine holding a
Did you ever look into have you ever looked into haunted planes?
No, I haven't.
How they recycle the parts from downed planes onto planes that they use today.
You got to get some of those, man. You got to get some of those and sell them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they reuse parts. And there's actual stories that you can look up of the same, like the pilot that went down in the first plane is now haunting the second plane that has parts from that first one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's
crazy cool if you ask me.
Another reason not to fly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that has come to my attention recently is sound attached to paranormal activity, and two different types of activity that's come across my desk lately. The same sound was heard in both instances, and that was the sound of like bees buzzing, like a beehive sound. Do you ever find that being part of any of your experiences?
I can't say that I've heard bees buzzing. That's new to me. I've never heard that before. But you have to remember that every haunting or every, how do I say, visitation. I prefer to call it a visitation versus a haunting. But for purposes of online, I'm just going to say every haunting has different aspects to it and has different background stories. And pending that particular background story is what's going to determine whether you have this type of activity or that type of activity, or if it's just a replay, residual.
Residual, yeah.
Okay. And if everybody should know, and if they don't know, residual activity is not a ghost. Okay.
Right.
A lot of people get that confused. And it can get real convincing that it's actually a ghost, but there's no intelligence there. It is a replay of the past. Right. They're not going to talk to you. It is a release of energy that has been built up in that particular area.
Right.
So that being said, there could be some residual, like if there were bees at that time or somebody was playing a piano during that time that all this energy was absorbed, maybe there was, a murder there or, heaven forbid, or, something traumatic that usually leaves an imprint. So if it all depends on what was going on at that time. But have I heard of bees? No. I have heard bells. I've heard bells before during an investigation, which I thought was weird. Come to find out after we did the investigation that this home was once a church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, had no idea going in.
Beautiful.
I'm like, I didn't see a bell on top when I came in,
Wow.
But yeah, pretty neat. A lot of neat stuff happens, which is why I keep going. The second I start thinking, I've been doing this for so long and we don't have any concrete proof yet. Something cool is going to happen and it's going to bring me right back in,
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that metal band. You think it's all worn out, and then there's that new band that comes in. And you're just like, who the hell are these guys?
Right?
And you just fall in love all over again, man. I completely
Yeah.
understand. That is great. A question, man. It's about like I've heard on my property. I live here in Mexico, and I bought
Mhm.
10 acres of jungle property, and it's been twice. This is about a year and a half ago that I first I would see a light on the wall or on the ceiling. It's like a bluish whitish light kind of moving. I go to
Okay.
look for where it's coming from, like someone messing with me with a flashlight or something.
Right.
I look for the source, no source, it's gone. And then right after, it's happened twice. The last time it was behind me outside of the nettings. I built a little house out there about maybe 30 yards. I would hear a disembodied voice, not speaking German, Spanish, or English, but it's female. That's all I can tell you. And it has a weird syntax and speed to it. It's just, and I'm just like, and it's always on the left side,
Okay.
whatever that means. I'm sure there's something to that as well.
Yep.
And yeah, and I just kind of told her, yeah, I know you're here and I know you're interested, but you don't have to leave. It's just, we're not here to harm anybody. We're just here to make it better. But
Mhm.
you have no, you can't harm anybody here. I'm in the white light, something like that. That's what I kind of said, knowing
Can I, yep.
that it helps.
Can I offer you an opinion on that?
Absolutely. That's why I asked you, my friend.
My opinion is this. You said it was a whisper, but you couldn't understand the words. And here's my opinion. Here's what I think was going on. They were talking, but not to you.
Oh, that's okay. And this is in the middle of nowhere, bro. This is solar panel, dig a well, let's get the machetes out.
Right.
15 minutes off the main road down a muddy road. It's
right.
nowhere.
Right. And as somebody like me or any one of my friends will tell you the same thing. If you hear a conversation, it's not always meant for you.
Okay.
A lot of times, because spirits will talk to each other. They'll talk to each other and you'll just overhear the conversation.
Okay.
A lot of times, like, I can't say a lot of times, a few times throughout the years, I've actually asked questions and they've responded to me like I was interrupting them and I was being rude.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So just because we hear it doesn't mean we were meant to hear it. It just means they put too much effort into their conversation, too much energy towards their conversation. Like maybe they were getting a little upset with another spirit, perhaps. And they admit a little bit too much energy into their conversation and they make it turns into a disembodied voice, which is basically a voice that we can hear without any digital recording.
Wow. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. That makes me feel a little better.
Right. So it wasn't necessary. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. They just think you're nosy.
That's awesome.
All right. I'm going to write that down in my diary.
There you go. Is there any more questions from chat? Oh, look at that. Something popped up.
This is from my one of my moderators pointing out a YouTube channel for somebody. So if you guys have watched with us this far and you've kept up with the conversation, let me know down below. Have you had a paranormal experience, or do you have an object in your house that you feel like maybe a source of attachment for some paranormal activity? If so, let me know down below. So
Yeah.
you guys,
And if you don't want it, I might take it.
there you go. You got a taker right here. So
Well, yeah, they I've had a few.
yeah,
They're the first one you said was 7, mine was 8. So I've had a few, and it's definitely part of why I got interested in this, I guess. So yeah, I understand.
oh yeah, that's the thing. It's like early on, I had experiences with crazy stuff going on, and my super religious stepmother even claimed that she heard people walking around in my room at night and having conversations in my room. And she would open the door and the lights would be off. I'd be asleep and nobody was there. So there was always activity going on somewhere around there. And I feel like, when we talk about these things, there are some people that like, well, the more you focus on it, the more you think about it, the more energy you're giving it. And I think in some cases that is true. I can tell you one of the biggest things, and I love, Brandon, that you call it visitations, because that's very much in line with my experience living in Hermitage, Tennessee. I was like less than a mile away from the Hermitage, which was Andrew Jackson's old home. And in my office there, I had an altar set up and I had my office and a lot of stuff going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on a live podcast one night, and a friend of mine that was on there with me goes, "You have a 19-year-old male that's taken up residence in this room." And he told me, he says, he's very curious about what you do in here. And at one point I put a spirit box on, and I had been consecrating some iron railroad ties for my yard, for protection for my yard. And the very first thing that came on when I turned this thing on was a voice that said ritual. And the railroad ties and everything were still set up on my altar table. Yeah, exactly like that. Is that one haunted though? Now I feel like Victor.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
But like I said, anything in this room could be haunted. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know. It's hard to prove. It's very hard to prove.
Right. So I'll ask again. This is the funny question, I think. Do you take souvenirs from investigations?
I try not to. Sometimes the person will like try to offer me a gift or something from the house, and you kind of have to pick and choose. A lot of people I know will take souvenirs, but I don't know. It's I have mixed feelings on that, because bringing stuff home is cool. The first thing I brought home was a piece of a broken plate from an investigation. And long story short, we had about, I don't know, somewhere between 6 and 10 people staring into a restaurant kitchen that we were investigating on an Indian reservation. And the plate levitated off the table, moved over, sat there, and then dropped, slammed on the floor, and broke. Why I took a piece of that home, I'll never know. But I had it for about 6 years before I finally threw it away. That was the first thing I ever bought home. Oh, did we lose Tom?
He may have dropped his connection. He'll be back most likely.
I wonder, what's kind of a bummer for me right now is I can't tell how many people are in here, or if my people are even in here. I don't know how many of my friends came in to watch.
We have about somewhere between 13 and 15 people, according to the numbers I'm seeing right now. There's people that have been like in the chat conversing tonight that are, but there we go. Tom is back.
I wanted to be on the bottom to support the conversation. That's what I'm foundational.
Okay.
Well, you've on my screen, you've been on the bottom all night.
Well, yeah, it was weird, man. I don't know. I was trying to write a comment. Someone said something really interesting, that they were turkey hunting and they heard "what you doing," and I wanted to go, "Wow, that's crazy!" Somehow, I actually kicked myself out of the room. I don't know how I did that.
Yeah. So, like, paranormal investigation can be one of the coolest things you ever experienced in your life, or it could be the most dangerous thing you've done in your whole life. It all depends, and everybody's experiences is different. My best advice to somebody who is starting out is find somebody who's done it for a while, and shadow them. You don't have to do everything that they do. because nobody's a professional. I've been doing it for almost 20 years, and I learn every investigation. I'm learning something. I don't pretend to know anything for sure. We don't know anything for sure until we cross over, until we, pass
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Right.
I'm trying to word it and be,
YouTube friendly. I got you, man. That was great.
yeah, you got it.
Right.
You got it.
Yeah, man, you're
So
a professional. I love it.
yeah, and there's a big conversation. Well, you shouldn't use this equipment, and you can only use this equipment because this stuff is fake and this and that, and right now, paranormal field right now is so full of hate. It sucks. It's not even fun anymore to do it publicly. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just not fun anymore. It used to be, like 4 years ago. It used to be really fun. But now it's just so competitive and everybody wants to be the star, and you're not going to be a Zach Bagans or a Jason Hawes. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Just be
Right.
happy with the evidence that you get and be proud of it.
Yes.
Well, and some of us have taken it to a different level. I try to avoid, for the most part, the whole public investigation thing as much as possible, because when I go to investigate, usually I'm there to not only look for obvious evidence, but to collect data as well. So it's very important, to have a fairly controlled environment when you're doing that, because obviously, if you're trying to collect data, temperature changes, all pressure changes, all those things, you don't want to have any contamination around, people walking through and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. That's why you do a baseline reading before you start.
right, right. And that's usually the first thing that I do with most places. Like, I'll actually go around the outside of the building with my compass, do a lot of things to kind of on the outside, and then work my way inside, getting baseline readings. Because, for instance, one of the last places that I did an investigation at, there was a very strange anomaly going on outside the building, that actually extended from the top floor of the building, like in the top floor corner, just underneath the area that was the strangeness was occurring at. And it appeared to be a portal of some sort there in that section. Like, when you walked into it, it was just like a cone of silence in that area. And so it was just, when you're doing these things, you start getting these abnormal readings, on things like that, you kind of want to investigate and find out, is it a power line? Is it something mundane? Or is it something more magical, so to say? Is it something that's not really explainable? And with this particular spot, there was some stuff going on with compasses and all kinds of stuff that made it appear that there was some things that were not right in this area. But yeah, it's very important. And you're right. The amount of just bad juju going on with people anymore.
Wait until you get to the cryptids, man. They're
Oh
wild over the cryptid
gosh,
side.
yes.
And the Bigfoot
Well,
world.
you're a cryptids guy, aren't you?
No, that's what people like to put me in as, but it just seems what I'm running into.
Oh.
But in the cryptid world, man, I mean, it's damn near civil war sometimes. It's the woo, or it's a blood and flesh and blood, and I'm like, dude, it's both. You know what I mean? I'm somewhere along there, and they will, dude. They're ruthless. It's ridiculous.
Because we talk about cryptids once in a while too, just in our little clique that we do every Tuesday night. I've got one friend that is real big into Bigfoot, and I constantly just harass her about it. I harass her about it all the time. She's like, "You're gonna go Bigfoot hunting with me?" I'm like, "Really? That's like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going out to a deer hunting shack knowing that there's no deer out there.
It's called dedication, man. I like it. I enjoy those kind of people.
I just can't see myself doing it. I'm not saying I don't believe in Bigfoot,
Right,
but
right.
I'm not the guy that's gonna find him. You know.
You
guys want to see Adam while we're still going?
Yeah, dude.
Sure.
The funny thing is that they'll find you, buddy. There's the difference. And it's
I'd rather Bigfoot find me than some Wendigo.
oh yeah, that's a different story too, buddy. Yeah, I don't want that either. All right, guys.
So that's the one cryptid that I don't ever want to run into.
All right.
All right. Well, you guys now I told you about Adam, right?
Yeah.
Do the people watching? Do you guys want to see Adam?
Yeah, they got Emily's already gay. Yeah, Emily's up there ready to go. Emily, Broken Filter 74. All right.
Oh yeah, Emily knows Adam. Emily's a mod for me on TikTok.
Awesome.
She's
Thank
a great,
you, Emily.
great
Appreciate
person.
that.
Yep. So, all right. Now I told you he doesn't look scary at all, and he doesn't. Try not to laugh because he'll sense it. He'll know. All right. Here he is.
Wow.
He kind of looks like a little Chucky. You know,
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got some freckles going on, but I had freckles too when I was a child.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
this is Adam. Yeah,
Hi, Adam.
He's the most active, and for some reason I feel like we have an understanding. I can pick him up and not be scared of it. You know,
Adam loves Metallica.
he does actually. He does.
Oh, okay, Adam. Me and you are going to be, you go hang out over there with Brandon. But
Yeah.
I love Metallica too, Adam.
Yeah, he likes Metallica. He likes Michael Jackson music. He also, but he does not like Tiny Tim.
Apparently not, dude.
No.
I mean, literally, that's
his own chair. Yeah, loves Metallica. For whom the bells tolls. There you go. That'll touch back up with the bell ringing earlier.
For Whom the Bell Tolls was the first song I ever learned on the drums.
Oh, you're
wow.
a drummer. That's fantastic.
No. It was the first song out of 3 songs. It was the first of 3 songs that I ever learned on the drums.
For me,
and they were all Metallica songs.
Master of Puppets, at least the first.
Master of Puppets was the second one.
First, like 3 riffs, but after that, they get a little too.
Yep.
It's too.
I failed on Ride the Lightning. Couldn't do it.
So you mentioned at one point a priest that you have some connection to there. Does he ever join you on any of your your investigations?
He has offered, but the problem he's out of. I'm in the valley part of how do I put it? Fox Valley area of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to give the exact location, but he's actually in Madison, which is about hour and 45 minutes away from me.
Right.
So we don't link up a lot. As a matter of fact, it's been a couple of years since I've seen him, but I met him at a convention in Minnesota. It was back in 21, and it was at the Para-Unity convention of 21 in Minnesota. If you guys were there or if you know about it, but apparently the next year they canceled it, and I haven't been back since. I haven't heard anything, but I met him there. Told me all about it. He did a lecture. I listened to him. We had long conversations for the rest of the weekend, and then we've touched base a few times after that, and I met up with him. And so he's the guy I go to, but the problem is I have to go to him unless I want to pay him to come to me. Because he has other stuff going on, so he requires a fee to do it. And I don't most people bash people for that, but I get it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I get it. And I gave him a lot of grief because he just goes by Father Mike. I'm like, that doesn't sound too creepy. You gotta come up with something else.
Right. And I think that's very important that you bring up the you know, the subject of monetization. I think a lot of people don't understand, that not all investigators, you know, and paranormal researchers, etc., do their thing for free. Some of them actually do, depending on the event that they're going to, whether it's a private investigation
Yeah.
or or speaking engagement or whatever. Some of them may actually charge, and I think it's very important for people to understand that while what a lot of us do, we do freely as service for people to help them or whatever. uh, you it is also important, depending on what you're doing, to be paid for your time and your energy as well. So some people do actually choose to monetize for whatever they're doing, and I think we have to kind of understand that no, this isn't necessarily a job per se, but even if it's a service you're performing, whether it's speaking engagement or whatever, you're still investing your time, which is not a renewable resource. So it's always good to keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Um, as
I've
we
never
are,
charged. I've never charged. I've never charged the client. I'll put it that way.
Mhm.
I did charge a team once. There was a team in Green Bay who was very familiar with me, and I've worked with them before. They were having a difficult time at a home investigation,
Mm,
and they needed my help. So they called me in and they offered me money to come and help them. And I said, look, I normally don't take any money, but I'll take it from you as long as it's not coming from the client. If you're charging the client, then I'm not coming. Period.
right.
But I'll take your money. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, that wasn't much. It was like $50, you know what I'm saying? But it was just to cover the gas and everything to get there and stuff. But I did charge them $50 to go and help them. And it was a great investigation. Turned out awesome. And at that investigation, real quick, was the first time I ever had a ghost ask me a question.
Oh, wow.
How it went was we were in the basement. I'll never forget. Her name was Christina. I was sitting next to her and one other dude from her team, and I can't remember his name, but she was the lead. That's how I remember her name. And we were sitting there, and it was they were like, we've been down here for hours and nothing ever happens. I'm like, bring me down there. We went down there, sat down on the ledge, dark, completely dark, and we just listened. And nothing was happening. Out of the blue, I just made this really weird scream noise, like ah, like really loud though. And on the recorders, when we did a blast session, which is what I call a blast session, where you record for a little bit, and then as soon as something happens, you shut it off and listen to it. You know, we did that, and immediately we heard on my recorder and 2 out of the 3 recorders that were going, it said, "What was that?" in an EVP.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's
And
so
I'm
cool, man.
like, that's awesome.
It is.
That's awesome.
It is.
That's awesome. And they're like, after the investigation, they went through everything and they're like, we're so glad you came. We would have paid you 10 times that for this stuff. And it was we were all hyped up about that one. That was a good one.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of the things too, is like, I always tell people, as far as investigations go, I've never charged for one either. I consider the data collected during those to be payment enough, because it actually is helping out with a lot of questions and kind of adding to the pool of information that we need to be able to kind of fit the pieces together, so to say. The only time that I would say that I would probably consider uh, any differently would be like a speaking engagement or something like that. And I would probably be like, okay, we need to, I need to actually be compensated for that. But all the investigations I do are always free. I tend not to do too many private investigations either, because it um, it kind of brings people to a point of wanting, cleansing or whatever like that, and I think that's
Mhm.
a little above my spiritual pay grade. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
um,
Aside from investigators, how do you feel about like psychic mediums charging?
I think we could end that question with how do I feel about psychic mediums? Period. Here's the thing. I feel like if they're legitimate and they charge, you know, that's okay. I mean, it's their call to do that. Um,
Mhm.
I have to tell you though, my experience, a lot of times when somebody starts billing themselves as a psychic medium and air quotes on that, uh, I find that to be kind of a questionable term for because there's a lot of people that make that claim that really don't have that gift. And so, there's a difference between psychic mediums and mentalist. And I think a legitimate one, yes, they should be able to make that call if they want to. Um, People that just don't have it don't need to be charging anything. Um, yeah,
Hmm. I have a different opinion if you'd like to hear it.
sure.
The most, like, how do I put this? There is a medium, and she goes by, well, doesn't matter. There's one that I completely 100% believe that she is the real deal. 100%. I have no doubts. And and she charges $200 an hour.
Wow.
And I'm telling you one thing, she is worth every penny.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is because in my opinion, okay, now I'm a Christian, okay? Christian ghost hunter, go figure. But in my eyes, she's basically doing God's work, if you
Mm.
ask me. She is allowing you to communicate with someone that has left a hole in your heart. Someone where you lost a person and you lost a piece of yourself with them. And she is helping to put that back together.
Mm,
You can't put a price on that. And
right.
that type of service, if she has that ability, which she does, but if anyone has that ability, they deserve to do that full time. They deserve to
Mhm.
charge for that, and people should pay it
Mhm.
100% because that is
Cool.
something you're not going to get anywhere else.
Right. And
Just
many
just my
times,
thought.
yeah, and many times they do charge. And again, I feel like that's their call. Now, when I'm doing readings or whatever, I don't charge. Uh,
I think it's a call on both ends. I think you need to know your value. I think that's
mhm,
important in anything you do in life. If your hobby has become such a big part of your life where people are now, attaching themselves to you, looking for, because they trust you, you have a great track record. People have actually, through word of mouth, presented you to them to help them out. Then that we have to then make the switch from, working a 9 to 5 to doing what it is that you might feel that you've been put on the earth to do. And now it's working. I think you need to know your value. But at the same time, there's other people who don't see that value. But,
Right.
maybe through times they will. So it's kind of,
Right.
if I had to make a, judgment call, I think it depends on the person as well as the person who wants to hear or is willing to hear or really willing to accept that information.
Absolutely. Because just like Daniel was saying, you have people that are fakes. So
Oh yeah.
it's up to you to decide. And hear me out. Even if you're paying for someone who is a fake, you think they're real, but they're fake. Okay. What they're doing is they're reading your emotions. They're reading into what's going on in your eyes. They're watching your shoulders, doing this, and they're throwing out random stuff that you're buying into. Okay, let's just play this scenario out. Did you leave there feeling better? If you did, then you got something out of it. Not saying you got all your money's worth, but you got something out of it because you felt better. So some of the, so it's hard to say if what you paid was actually worth it or not. Like if you guys want someone like I don't know. All right, Midwest Medium Lorraine. Write that down. Midwest Medium Lorraine. She's out of Appleton, Wisconsin. She is the one and only medium that I trust 100%. She has proved herself time and time again to me. And I'm not easy to impress.
I know a guy who can do that too. I mean, I know of a man who said things and you're just like, holy shit. You know, where things come up and you're just like, that's not random. And I understand that. But what I'm saying, when you're coming from the eyes of a skeptical person, you know what I mean? And also experience is knowledge. What you experience is your knowledge, and it may be different than what someone else does. But at the same time, that's why I always tell, especially in this crazy world we're in, communication is freaking key, dude. So if someone has to, your experiences are different from theirs, and the way they accept maybe a medium, and another one says, well, I've seen this, I know this, you know what I mean? So, it's once again, if a person like, Lorraine, Midwest, Lorraine, I can't remember, there's another word.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
That, that people, someone as yourself, someone who's trusted by the community, it gives that person, what was the word, they, leg room, whatever they call it, they actually say something good about it, then that holds water, and that water being held is then once again on the person who wants to accept it, and I think that's wonderful. It's choice. It's called freedom of choice, guys.
Yep. Right. So yeah, that and I was just looking at that question, and I kind of chuckled to myself because it says, have you ever heard, been told to get out? I'm like, I mean, if you've done 3 investigations, you've been told to get out. I mean, that's common. You know what I mean? That's something you get a lot. And I'm not even talking through an app or anything like that where it's got it programmed in there. I'm talking EVP, I'm talking Spirit Box. You're gonna hear it. You're just gonna hear it. It's just I can't tell you how many times, because you have to realize you're walking into their home, you're walking into their territory. They don't want you there.
Right.
9 times out of 10, unless they want their story told, they don't want you there. You're interrupting them. Can you imagine some stranger walking into your house when you're having dinner? That's how they see us.
I hear the same thing when people talk about Bigfoot, man. I swear. There's been cases where like they'll come up and yell at somebody through the woods in a native tongue that is spoken on that Indian reservation, and they said get out. I've been told that on the podcast. So yeah, there's a lot of crossover in a lot of this stuff. Orbs have been seen, portals. There's a lot of crossover in those things too, which is just adds to the mystery if you ask me, but it's just what I enjoy about it. That's the thing, we don't know. Great.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And what you're talking about, Tom, is something that we now classify as high strangeness, where multiple phenomena are going on in a location or in a situation. And it's funny because in the early days, and I've been doing this for a few decades now, we used high strangeness, particularly when it came to UFO sightings and so forth like that. The more high strangeness there was, the more obvious it was that this was probably a real sighting, because it was kind of hard to, who can make this stuff up kind of thing. But now, of course, high strangeness has taken on a whole new meaning and a whole new level of meaning. So I think it's very interesting that in a lot of cases now, you find that there are multiple situations that go on. Now, honestly, in the area that the last couple of areas that I've done investigation at, it, it's this area is very impactful. Like Brandon, you would find Central and East Tennessee to be just a mind jungle. It's literally a paranormal Disneyland of the gods here.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there's like a high strangeness everywhere, from the land between the lakes all the way to East Tennessee. There is just vast area, and even going into Central Kentucky, Franklin, Hopkinsville, those areas, very vast amount of paranormal activity. And then of course going into North Alabama, where you start getting very close to the 33rd parallel. And I don't live that far away from the Bell Witch Cave area either, which is also a pretty intense, intense area. Actually, the locals know for a fact that nobody actually knows the exact location of the Bell Witch Cave and so forth like that. It's like they keep all that very off the public record, so to say. And you actually have to have an invitation or be able to get granted permission to go into the cave. It's not just open to the public. So there's a lot of stuff, within this area that is a lot of high strangeness, just intensely focused.
So you've got some good stories then.
Oh my goodness, so very many. Just living as close as I lived to the Hermitage, there was a lot of stuff. Actually, the Walmart that was right down from the Hermitage we called it the Death Store, because it was I worked there at one point. We had people like associates that would die in the store. There were like people that would unalive themselves in the parking lot. It was just crazy activity there all the time. And it was like literally right down the street, the intersection right down the street was where the Civil War cemetery was at the saying there in the Hermitage. So it was just across the street from this store was. So it's very intense stuff going on there. As we're actually like about 17 minutes past the hour here.
Oh,
because this has been a very powerful conversation, and I knew it would be a lot of good stuff. And I really want to have you back on to get more details, more of the good stuff from you.
Is there any other quick questions from the chat that we can answer real quick before we go?
Do have yes.
What's that?
What is your favorite piece of equipment?
My favorite piece of equipment is my digital recorder, because that's the one piece of paranormal equipment that in my mind you can't deny. You cannot deny an EVP.
Yeah.
To me, that is good as gold.
Yeah.
If there's two people in the room and you're hearing a voice that ain't neither one of yours, where the hell would that come from if it wasn't spirit?
Right.
Fair enough.
Right.
So that's the one piece of equipment that is an automatic go-to. Next would be a spirit box, but that's a lot of people disagree with me on that. But I do enjoy
dowsing rods. What about dowsing rods?
Who did somebody in the chat ask that?
No, that came from my head.
Oh, okay. I might be the wrong guy to ask about dowsing rods.
Okay, so you don't like them. That's fair enough.
No. And I have been known to say the best way to use them is to declog the hair out of your kitchen sink or bathroom sink. That's the best way. I just don't
had good
like
luck with them. I've had good luck with them.
I just don't like them. They're not one of my favorites, but that's just
I
me.
used them to
that's personal
find
choice.
a well. I used them to find a well.
Okay.
The Mayans down here told me how to use them because
Well, that's complete. That's completely different. Because what I'm used to seeing is people sitting
with the
there like
yes,
this,
no,
yes, no, and crossing like this, and I'm like, I'm watching your pinkies. I'm
yeah.
watching the bottom of your hands. Watch this part. Everybody's watching this. No, you got to watch this part.
If you
This
even
part.
you have to be honest with yourself when you're doing it to make to save money because every
Yeah.
meter costs money. So I was blindfolding myself, marking the spot, walking away, close it, just trying to be as honest as I possibly could. And I
Yep.
saved myself. I don't know how many. Actually, the water I found was about 10 meters, so 30 yards less deep than the property next to me, which is down another 8 yards. So another 8 meters. So I got lucky with that one, or I did okay.
Yeah. I just don't. They've left a bad taste in my mouth because of all the live people trying to BS others.
Okay, fair enough.
With it. That's why it's left a bad taste in my mouth. But other than that, I believe they can work if used correctly? Absolutely.
Okay,
But
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing is like I understand where you're coming from with that, Brandon, because like there's a lot of things that work a lot differently with me than other things like pendulums, dowsing rods. Honestly, like even necrophonics, which I know is very controversial to a lot of people, but I've had like literal conversations on necrophonics with disembodied voices before. So I think again, it really depends on whether somebody's legitimate, what their energy is, how things work and don't work for them. Because there's a lot of priestcraft going on out there.
Can I tell you a very short example about necrophonics?
Yes.
It is my belief that I have proven without a shadow of a doubt that necrophonics can actually work. And the way I've done it was I was live and I was running the necrophonic through the portal box. Okay. And whether you know what that is or not, to people in the chat, my people know what it is for sure. But anyway, I was running it through there and I wrote down on a piece of paper, I wrote down a number and I asked the spirit to tell me what number it was. And it got to the point where it sounded like they were just guessing. And I got upset with them. I'm like, don't guess, read the note. Tell me what's on it. And I said, I've done this before on Spirit Box and they tell me right away. I don't know why you can't tell me. And then I got 2 responses, very aggressive. It said, hey. And then I said, you can't tell me? And then it yelled at me like the spirit was pissed off. And it said 4 really loud, like louder than every other response before. I immediately grabbed the paper, oiled it up in front of the live, and it had the number 4 on it.
Wow. Yeah.
That proved to me without a doubt that there was a spirit there interacting through necrophonic that night. So it can work.
Yes, it can. And that's one of the things that like one of my closest friends will sit there and argue with me every time that I'm full of crap. But honestly, the experiences I've had with necrophonics has been out of this world.
And yeah, and there, I mean, it's not the only one that works, but it can work. The problem comes in when people heavily rely on every response that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem comes, because not every response is going to be spiritual. A lot of it is because of the app and because of you have a microphone on and it's responding to the noise that you're making, so you have to take all that in consideration. You can get 100 responses and maybe one of them is real, in my opinion.
Right.
Right. You gotta know, you just gotta know. And that comes with doing it. Like the more you do it, the better you're going to get at finding the real evidence.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we close out tonight, because I want to get us, I want to get my guys ready to do their Friday night here. And
Well, thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. We had some good discussions, I think.
Right,
It was
man.
nice.
Right,
we
man.
have
Right, me, brother. Right,
Definitely.
me. I'll let you on.
All
Definitely
right,
so.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice meeting you, Tom.
Nice
and
meeting you too, buddy.
Daniel.
I'm so glad I can join.
Good to meet you as well. So leave us with a thought for the evening, a closing thought for the evening, Brandon, if you will.
Okay. Wow, put me on the spot here. Closing thought is this. If you have activity in your home, do not be scared right away. Most of the spirits that contact you or try to contact you are going to use your lights, your electricity in your home. That's the easiest. That's their first step in communication. That does not mean they're evil. That could be a family member. It could be somebody just trying to say hello. Don't let that scare you. And they were people too, so treat them as such. That's about all I got.
That's very good. That's a very good way of looking at it. And I thank you so much for coming on tonight. We will
You're very
definitely
welcome.
have you back again. I'm blown away by everything you shared tonight and all that you do.
Thank you.
And
too.
Tom, thank you for joining me again tonight.
Can I shout out my stuff real quick, buddy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, Tom Franklin, the Eye of Jupiter podcast, every Tuesday, regular shows every Friday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern time, a live show. Come and check us out. I have a lot of interesting guests on. Check out the next episode next week. I will be having on, it's already been recorded, it's coming out. I have on the wonderful Doug Highcheck from none other than Monster Quest, came on the show, and we had a really interesting interview about his property on some lake in Minnesota. It's wild. Come check it out.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, buddy.
And of course, as always, anything and all things Magical Journey, check out on Magical Journey podcast. It has been a fun night. It has been a real night. And I am your host, Daniel Ian Cahoon. Don't forget to love each other, and may your journey always be magical.
Later.
I've waited for so long to see when you come back to me. Through the wars and battles that were lost, we're born again, it's you and me. The rest is history. Past lives. Past lives. Did we dance together on different floors in 1500 or 1504? We must have been lovers. We must have been something in our past lives.